Hello guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. This video is going to be about the appeasement of Nazi Germany. It will take place from 1935 to 1939. This will be the first video in a two-part series. This video will be focused on the context and the more factual informational stuff. The second video will be more about the more opinionative and if appeasement actually worked. So let's get into this. So, the first act of appeasement was what happened when the Germans announced public conscription in 1935. This was against the Treaty of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles was the treaty that ended World War I. All the British do is make them get out talks of limiting the size of their navy. The next move was made by Mussolini, who wanted to expand his empire. So in October of 1936, he invaded one of two spots that the Europeans did not control in Africa, Ethiopia. The League of Nations imposed sanctions on Italy, which hurt the economy. But anyways, they made it through, and by May of 1936, Ethiopia surrendered and capitulated to the Italian military. There was no big reaction from Britain and France because they did not want to make Mussolini feel isolated and him to turn to Hitler for help. While Mussolini was making a big deal in Africa, Hitler used it as a distraction so he could remilitarize the Rhineland in March of 1936. The Rhineland was an area that no troops were allowed in under the Treaty of Versailles. It was a German-controlled territory, but no troops of Germany could be in that territory. But Hitler moved troops into the Rhineland anyway because he said it was a threat to Germany's security. The League of Nations nor the British did anything. Public opinion was that Germany was walking into their own backyard. In the following year, Neville Chamberlain took over as Prime Minister and he replaced Stanley Baldwin. After the First World War, the Austrian-Hungarian Empire was broken up, and Austria was one of the main states that was created to replace the empire. In Austria, the majority of the population wanted to be absorbed into the Third Reich, Nazi Germany, even though this was against the Treaty of Versailles, but at this point the treaty hardly meant anything. In Hitler's book, Mein Kampf, he wrote that he wrote in prison, he said he would unite with his birth countries by any means, even with force. On March 11th, Hitler set an ultimatum to Kurt Schleswig, the Austrian Chancellor, demanding to hand over power to the Austrian Nazis or face an invasion. Schleswig realized that if he were to be invaded by the Germans, neither France nor Britain would openly resist with force. So shortly after he got the ultimatum, Schleswig resigned from Chancellor and he resigned in favor of the Nazis, who allowed the German troops to come through the border and restore order. How nice of him. The Germans faced no resistance, just cheering Austrians. A vote was held on April 10th in favor of the Nazis. The approval ratings of the Nazis were 99.7%. There's no proof that the Nazis rigged the votes. It was just a combination of optimism and a better outlook that would happen in Austria. This event would be designated the name of the Anschluss. The reaction to this event was limited. After all, the Austrian people supported this, and none of the major powers resisted Anschluss was with force. The lack of opposition led Hitler to conclude that he should adopt more aggressive tactics, and that he did. Czechoslovakia was another state that formed when the Austrian-Hungarian Empire broke up. In Czechoslovakia, there's a province called the Sudetenland. The Sudetenland was home to most of the Czechoslovakian industry, forts, and population. At first, Hitler wanted to have the Sudetenland have more autonomy, since the Sudetenland consists of mostly ethnically Germans. Then, Chamberlain came to negotiate directly with Hitler in person. Now Hitler demanded that Germany should annex all of the Sudetenland. Chamberlain was convinced that denying Hitler's request would mean war, so Britain and France said that Czechoslovakia should give majority German areas to the Third Reich. That is pretty much all of the Sudetenland. Czechoslovakia did not comply for obvious reasons. Then when Chamberlain met with Hitler again, Hitler said that Czechoslovakia had to be broken up between other countries. Czechoslovakia said no again, and Britain and France mobilized. With the tensions getting hotter, Mussolini persuaded Hitler to put the dispute to a four-power conference. On September 29th, Hitler, Chamberlain, Mussolini, and Eduardo, the French Prime Minister, met. In Munich. They all agreed that Germany should get the Sudetenland, and if Czechoslovakia does not comply to that demand, Czechoslovakia would stand alone. And in return, Hitler signed a piece of paper saying that he would not invade the rest of Czechoslovakia, and that there would be peace in our time. Czechoslovakia complied with all Germany's wishes. As a result of the annexation of the Sudetenland, Czechoslovakia was a lot weaker. They lost the majority of their population, forts, and industry. In the following months, Hungary and Poland took some of Czechoslovakia. This was what Hitler meant by breaking Czechoslovakia up. The Czechs had no hope at stopping Germany, since they are just a shell of their former self. So at this point, Hitler invaded. This was strictly against the Munich Agreement, the agreement that they just signed, and Hitler said he would not invade the rest of Czechoslovakia. This is the point where Hitler stopped appeasing Germany, and the next aggressive expansion would be war. That is why on September 3rd, 1939, Britain and France went to war with Germany and started the Second World War. That is the end of today's video. I will have their video posted in just a couple days. Enjoy ya, and see you soon.